Hey guys, it's Golden927 here doing a deck profile for you guys for Speedroids today. So I'm going to do it a little bit different than I have done previous profiles. So it's going to be primarily the monsters first, as I always do. But instead of doing the spells and traps completely separate, what I'm going to do is keep the spell and trap cards that are going to be exclusive to the Speedroid engine and the way that the Speedroid deck is played. I'm going to feature those first, and then I'll put the generic stuff in there afterwards. So I hope you guys do enjoy this change. Let me know how you guys feel about it. If you want me to do it the classic way on the next deck profiles, or to keep doing it the same way, just let me know. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the non-tuner monsters. So going to do 3 Speedroid Terror Tops, and you run 3 of these standard. You just basically have to. You can special summon it from your hand, and then you can do an additional summon with this card. Also, when it's normal or special summon, you can add a Speedroid monster from your deck to your hand. Typically, the card that you're going to be going for after you do that is going to be Speedroid Taketoborg. And this particular guy, what he does is, you have the ability, if you control another Speedroid monster, well, not Speedroid, but Wind monster, you can special summon this guy, and that would allow you to make a rank 3 play if you decided. And then it also lets you special summon 1 Speedroid tuner monster from your deck using him, but you can't special summon unless if it's a Speedroid monster. And next, I run 3 Speedroid Double Yugioh, and when this one is normal summoned, you can add a level 3 or lower Speedroid monster from your graveyard. Next, this one is going to be a hand trap. It's going to be Speedroid Manko, and so when your opponent declares a direct attack, what you can do is you can special summon this one in attack position, and if you do, it changes all of their face-up monsters to defense position. So this is going to be good for you know, getting those crucial big monsters into defense position, so then you can save yourself for the next turn. And sometimes having your opponent's monsters in defense position is going to be good for you with some of the extra deck monsters. Next, Speedroid Ohaji Kid. And this guy is going to be awesome. When it's normal summon, you can get a tuner monster from either player's graveyard, special summon it, and then immediately do a synchro summon using the monster that you had and this monster for the synchro summon of Wind type monster. So it's a good card. I only run 2 of them. I did have 3 at one point, but I think 3 is a little excessive. 2 is the perfect ratio for this guy, or even possibly 1. Next, I'm going to get on with the tuners. The tuners are really the fuel and the lifeblood for this deck. So, 3 Speedroid Red-Eyed Die. And so this card, he allows you to manipulate the levels of other Speedroid monsters on the field. You can make their levels between 1 and 6. So you can do it to 1 monster, and that change will last until the end of the turn. Next one, I went from 3 to 2, and that was only because of the Shining Victories set coming out, and that was Speedroid Tri-Eyed Dice. And this one, it doesn't manipulate the levels of your other Speedroids at all. This one is just a basic level 3 tuner for the deck, but in the graveyard it has an effect that you can use where you can banish it from the graveyard, and when you do that, you can negate your opponent's next attack that they do. Next card I run 1 of, and that's going to be Speedroid Den Den Daiko Duke. And I thought I was probably going to do 2 or 3 of him, but 1 was just perfect. And this particular guy, level 3 tuner, kind of like the previous one. And this one, from the graveyard, you can special summon a tuner monster in your hand or graveyard, except himself. And so that would allow you to get a second tuner on the field if you've already got one, or the first tuner that you need. It just helps to recycle some of the tuners that you got in your graveyard, or do an additional special summon from your hand. So that's the monster lineup. There's 20 monsters, and I will move on to the spell and trap cards. Hey guys, it's Golden927 here, doing a deck profile for Speedroids for you guys. So this is a deck that I like. I am playing a pure Speedroid build. I'm not doing any variation or Phantom Knights, Burning Abyss, or anything other than Speedroids, just with all Speedroid main deck monsters. So it's a fun deck to play, it's a fun deck to get into. The deck for the most part is pretty cheap. The Terror Tops have kind of gone up in price. Same thing with Takatomborg, and that's in part to the PK Fire matchup and deck that people have created that have been getting buzz. So, you know, you can still get the deck fairly inexpensive, less than some of the other meta decks that are out there. So let's just give this a shot. I hope you guys will enjoy this deck profile, and I hope that you guys will give the deck a try and let me know how you guys feel about it. So I'm going to do this a little bit different as far as the lineup. For the most part, it's going to feel like most of my deck profiles that I've had prior to today. So the only thing that I'm doing different is, rather than doing the spells and the traps completely separate, is I'm going to incorporate the Speedroid spell and trap cards together, and then feature the other spell and trap cards after. So I'm going to go ahead and get started for you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, so then you can see more videos, more deck profiles, pack openings, discussion videos. I try to do a little bit of everything. So let's get started on the deck. First, I play 3 Speedroid Terror Top. Reason being is Terror Top allows you to special summon it if you control no other monsters, so it's a free summon basically. And then it also allows you to get a Speedroid monster from your deck and add it to your hand, except for another copy of itself. And so that still leaves you with room for a normal summon. Next card, usually the one that you grab from the deck using Terror Top, is going to be Speedroid Takatomborg. I still have a hard time saying his name. And this guy, he can be special summoned as long as you control another wind monster. So imagine playing Terror Top followed by this. You've now got 2 Speedroid monsters on the field, and you haven't even performed a normal summon yet. And his effect is when he is special summoned, when he is summoned, you can special summon a Speedroid tuner monster if you tribute him. Next card, Speedroid Yugioh, double Yugioh that is. When he's normal summon, you can get a level 3 or lower Speedroid monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So he's a good card to have. He's one of the few level 4s in the deck. Next, Speedroid Menko. He's a hand trap, and what he does is when you have him in your hand, if your opponent were to declare a direct attack, it switches all of their monsters into defense position until the end of the turn. So he's a hand trap. He's got a high defense. When you do summon him, you do have to summon him in attack mode, but it doesn't really matter because you're switching the monsters into defense mode that your opponent controls. Next, Speedroid Ohaji Kid, and this one can be used very well also. I used to have 3 of them in the deck, but I have it down to 2. So when he's summoned, you can get a Speedroid, or not even, doesn't even have to be a Speedroid monster, but you'd use them to grab one of your Speedroids. But you can get a tuner monster in either player's graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field, and then you can immediately do a synchro summon using the tuner monster and this monster to special summon a wind type synchro monster using those 2 cards alone. Next, I'm going to get onto the tuners, and so we have 3 Speedroid Red-Eyed Dice. And so this one is good because he allows you to manipulate the levels of another Speedroid monster that you've got on the field. Between the levels of 1 and 6, you select one of those, and that would change the monster's level to that number that you have selected. So it's really cool. 3 of these I would almost say is a must. Next one, Speedroid Tri-Eyed Dice, and during your opponent's turn, you can banish this from your graveyard and negate their next attack. It's a quick attack. I mean, not a quick attack, a quick effect. So he's the other main Speedroid tuner monster that you have in the deck. I used to run this one at 3, but it's down to 2. Reason being, with Shining Victories coming out, I wanted to go ahead and reduce it and make room for Speedroid Daiko Duke. This one, when he's in your graveyard, you can banish him and special summon another Speedroid tuner monster from your hand or graveyard just to, you know, expedite some of those synchro summons. This deck is going to be very synchro summon based. In my extra deck, I have 12 synchro monsters and only 3 of the Xyz monsters. So I like to run it very synchro summon centric, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's all I've got for the monsters, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to the spell and trap lineup for you guys. Alright, so for the spells, we're going to start off with Speedroid Recovery, just because this is an excellent card. So the way that it works is you can basically special summon a Speedroid monster from your graveyard, and then after you do that, when this is in your graveyard, you can actually banish this card and then special summon another Speedroid monster in your graveyard. Well, not special summon it, but add it to your hand. So you can't do it the same turn that you play it, but the next turn you can do that. Next, I'm going to play 2 Shock Surprise, just because you can banish 2 Speedroid monsters from your graveyard and then destroy up to 2 cards on the field. So this is good for clearing out the field, some good field destruction. Next, High Speed Relevel. So you banish a Speedroid monster from your graveyard, target a synchro monster that you control, and then until the end of the turn, you can change its level to the, you change its level to the banished monster's level, and it gains attack equal to 500 to that monster's level times 500. Next, 2 Dice Roll Battle. This one is good for synchro summoning out of your graveyard. So when your opponent declares a direct attack, you select 2 Speedroid monsters, and then you can do a synchro summon using the monsters in your graveyard. So it is pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. I like it. And then it has a secondary effect. You can banish it from the graveyard, target a face-up synchro monster on each side of the field, and then you basically make them attack each other. Next, 2 Supercharge. If when your opponent declares an attack, the only monsters that you control are machine-type Roid monsters, you get to draw 2 cards. And that's essentially just to get to your monsters and spells and traps that you need a little bit quicker. This kind of thins out the deck. Next, Redice Cycle. So this one you can target a Speedroid tuner monster in your graveyard, special summon it. It loses its effect, so the red-eyed die, you won't be able to change the levels of your other Speedroid monsters, but that monster that you special summon from the graveyard, you roll a dice, and whatever you roll is what the monster's level becomes. So that tuner, if you rolled a 5, becomes a level 5 tuner at this point. Alright, so to the generic spell and trap cards, I'll run through these pretty quickly just because you probably know what most of these do. That's 2 Mystical Space Typhoons, and the rest of them are going to be kind of one-ofs except for these. Reject Reborn. This one allows you, when your opponent declares a direct attack, you can special summon 1 tuner, 1 synchro monster from your graveyard. Their effects are negated, but it's awesome for going into another synchro play. So say if you summon one of the lower level synchros, you can use that one and the tuner monster that you have selected to special summon with it as, you know, materials for synchros. So it's a really good card. I like it. Only 2 of them. 3 of them I discovered was a bit too much because there was times I was drawing it and I did not have a synchro and a tuner in the graveyard, so it was just taking up space. Alright, so the one-ofs: Forbidden Chalice, Synchro Cracker. Synchro Cracker is going to be good for field destruction. Target a synchro monster you control, return it to the extra deck, and then you destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to the attacker, the Synchro monster. Lightning Vortex. Bottomless Trap Hole. And Compulsory Evacuation Device. So that's all I've got for the spell and traps. So I'm going to move on to the extra deck. Alright guys, for extra deck monsters, I'm going to start with the Exceeds monsters. Just because there's less of them than I have of the Synchros in this particular build. So, Totem Bird. One of the coolest looking cards in my opinion. Secret rare. So this guy requires 2 level wind monsters, and during either player's turn, if a spell or trap card is activated, you can detach a material and then you negate the activation and destroy it. But he loses 300 attack if it has no Exceeds material. So if you have no material, he's going to become a 1600 monster instead of a 19. Next, Super Quantum Mech Beast Grand Pulse. Just for a similar effect, you can attach X with Z material from this card once per turn, and then get rid of a spell or trap card on the field. The rest of his effect is going to be based on the Quantum Monster archetype, but there's none of those in here. Next, Alucard, just because you can target face down or a set card that your opponent controls, and then you can destroy that target by detaching a material. And so all of these are just 2 level 3 monsters, which in this deck you've got a plethora of. So with the Synchro monsters, there's no Synchro monster that I've run more than 1 copy of. So just because I like to have a little bit of variety depending on the situation that I'm in. So Hi-Speedroid Puzzle. This one, when he battles a special summon monster, his attack becomes double. So his attack would become 2600 instead of 13. Old Entity of Store. This is the card that gets overlooked. So if he attacks if he gets sent to the graveyard, you can attach him to one of your opponent's monsters, and that monster, when you equip it to it, cannot make any attacks. But when that monster gets destroyed and sent to the graveyard with this guy, then you get to gain control of that monster that it was equipped to. So it's kind of like a dark Necrofear, but a little bit easier and faster to get out. Hi-Speedroid Agoita. And this one, during either player's turn, you contribute this card and increase the level of all monsters all monsters that you control by 1 until the end of the turn. So he's pretty cool. And then if this card is in your graveyard and you control a Speedroid tuner, you can special summon this card, but you can't special summon any more monsters except for wind monsters. But you know, every other card and monster that I have is going to be a wind monster except for some of these Synchros. Hi-Speedroid Chanbara. This one can do 2 attacks during the battle phase, and when he battles he gains 200 attack. And then if this one is sent to the graveyard, you can target a banished Speedroid card and add it to your hand. This one is one of my favorite ones. So going into the switching your opponent's monsters into defense position, this one is awesome because this one does piercing damage to defense position monsters. And then once per turn you can use one of these effects. You can either banish a machine type monster from your graveyard and do 500 damage to your opponent, or if this is in your graveyard and you control no cards, you can special summon him back to the field, but you can't do another normal summon, but he still keeps his effects when you bring him back. Next, Yugioh Predator. Basically, if you destroy your opponent's monster, you get to take control of it. If you do any damage with your opponent's monster that you take control of, its damage is half. Cyframe Lord Zeta. Just because you have the option of banishing a special summon face-up attack position monster that your opponent controls, it just gets problem things out of the way. Stardust Spark Dragon. Just because once per turn during either player's turn, you can target one face-up card that you control, and if it were to be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can, you know, protect it and make it not destroyed by battle or card effect. Next, the traditional Stardust Dragon, gold rare. I just figured I'd kind of show that off a little bit. I don't have the ghost rare. I saw one this weekend and kind of wanted to pick it up, but you know, I just couldn't warrant buying the ghost rare because I don't care about it being a ghost rare and playing a ghost rare. It's just cool to have. This particular guy, during either player's turn, if a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card on the field, then you contribute this card, and then you negate that card's effect and destroy it. And then during the end phase, you special summon him back to the field. Red Dragon Archfiend. This one is good for attacking defense position monsters. If you attack a defense position monster, then you destroy all defense position monsters that your opponent controls. Okay. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, just because this one, you destroy all other face-up attack position monsters on the field other than this one. And the card that I like the most in this deck, and it's one of my most prized possession cards that I have in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! I just love the card. I was lucky enough to pull this from a booster pack, which was amazing. I got this the same weekend that Breakers of Shadow came out, and Breakers of Shadow, I had the craziest luck. I was getting infinities easily, twin twisters. You know, my Breakers of Shadow packs were awesome, but I picked up some of the high-speed riders packs, and I got a secret Trishula of the Ice Barrier. And so this card I love a lot simply because it disrupts your opponent's plays. And what this does, if you're not familiar with it, is I'll go ahead and read it. I'll let you guys read it as well. When this card is synchro summoned, you can banish up to one card each from your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard. So that is pretty nasty. So being able to banish a card from the hand, the field, and the graveyard, it really disrupts your opponent's plays. So this is the card that I primarily like to go for whenever I'm playing this deck. It's my first choice if I have the availability to do it. If I don't, then I go into, you know, the other monsters that are in this pile. But primarily I'm looking for this because I want to mess up my opponent's plays very quickly, and this allows me to do so. Alright guys, so that's pretty much all I've got for this deck profile. If you guys have any questions or comments, be sure to comment below, and I'll be sure to respond to your questions and comments in the comment section. So be sure to like and subscribe to this channel, just because I'd like to continue to bring you guys more content, give you guys some other stuff to try. On a competitive level, I would probably say this isn't going to be the most competitive deck in the world, but on a, you know, like a local level, or if you're dueling amongst friends or at locals, it's a very fun deck to play. It can do some nasty stuff. As you see, it can make almost any synchro monster. So you don't have to run these synchro monsters that I chose. This is just based on my play style. You could make anything that you wanted. I thought about possibly putting in Stardust Charge Warrior in here, but honestly, the possibilities are endless for the synchro monsters and the extra deck monsters. So give it a shot. Let me know how it goes for you guys. Like I said, like the video. Let's see if we can get 10 likes on this video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so then you can catch all my up-to-date videos as they happen. Okay guys, I hope you guys enjoy your day, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, take care.